3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Okay, Rachel, you're probably a familiar face to a lot of people in here, but not everybody. Why don't you introduce yourself just a little bit? Tell everybody about yourself and, whatever you want to say there.
I'm Rachel. I started coming here like junior year of high school. Now I'm a senior at Indiana Wesleyan University. I'm a community development major wanting to go into counseling. And my little sister's Megan. She's on the worship team, following in my footsteps. But yeah, I'm just happy to be back. It's been a while.
You're a senior now.
You skipped a year.
I was like, wait a second. And you started coming here to engage in Mount Pleasant because of Move, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you went to Move and got connected and started coming. Okay, so a couple questions for you. You've been leading us in worship this weekend, been doing a great job, and so we're so glad to have you back. But thinking through like the past 2.5 years, as you've been at college, something that all of these kids have never done, right? What has been like the hardest challenge for you in regards to your faith going from high school into college?
So in high school, I kind of thought that my faith was my own. And I think for, at least to a degree, it was. But then when you go off to college, like you're on your own and you don't have somebody like taking you to church every Sunday. You don't have that small group that you're a part of anymore. The mentors you may have in high school, the groups you're a part of, like that's all kind of gone. You don't have your parents anymore. You don't have a lot of the friends that you've had in high school. I'm not trying to like scare you guys, but it's really great, I promise. But like you lose a lot of those things that kind of maybe held you accountable. And so when you go to college, like it's your decision. And I go to a private school, but like there are a lot of kids who don't go to church, who don't get plugged in, who kind of like lose that accountability, lose that priority of their faith. And so the first challenge was like, am I going to make that my own? Am I going to take that step? And it is really worth it when you do. It kind of took me a while to find that groove, to get back plugged into a church, to start serving, to find new mentors, to find people to keep me accountable. But like once it did, it was like really helpful. It just helped you root your faith and it became more personal, but definitely didn't get easier. When you go to college, you also like learn a lot about yourself. You're on your own, so it's like there's nothing kind of like, you're not trying to be like everyone else. It's just you learn more about yourself. You learn your strengths, your weaknesses. And the enemy really likes to get a foothold using your weaknesses, especially when you're kind of out on your own now. And so that was a challenge for my faith specifically. He used the weaknesses I had to try to pull me away. But I just took those challenges as a time to build my faith rather than lose it. And so that's something that I kind of had to learn is I had to be responsible for leaning on God and finding people in taking those steps, making those priorities in my faith in order to build it and not lose it when the trials come, when the enemy tries to get you, and just like learning how to take those strengths and give them to the Lord.
Yeah, so there are a lot of challenges, obviously. And I think that when you go into college, it's the first time in your life, especially if you've grown up in church, it's the first time in your life where you don't have something that was specifically designed and programmed for you when it comes to church, right? When you're a kid, it's like, oh, I've got, kids ministry and middle school ministry and high school ministry. I mean, everything is geared directly towards you. And all of a sudden it's like, hey, be an adult, right? And so like, it's a transition. And I don't remember the exact stat, but I do remember that there's something about that first 30 days that you're at school where they say that, for kids who have grown up in church and they go off to college, in that first 30 days, if you don't make the decision to go to church, then the likelihood is that you're just not going to go. Like you just got to continue that momentum. So, but there's got to be good things, right? Yeah. So like for you personally, how have you seen God working in you throughout your time at college?
Yeah, so like I said, you learn a lot about yourself, and that's honestly like really cool. You learn a lot about your relationship with God. It becomes really intimate, but there's also just so much like development and transformation that happens over these years. Like I can say like I'm not the same person. Like I'm a developed person, and like I'm I know more about myself. I know more about the Lord. I have a more intimate relationship with him. Over the past few years, he's just really developed like my desires and like my passions for who I want to serve, for my calling and all those things. They just developed so much. Like I was the freshman who like changed their major like 5 times over the course of like 8 weeks. But like he developed those passions and those desires, and like he gets you where you need to be kind of thing. And even though there's nothing like specifically programmed for you, like the Lord's on your side and he's going to keep guiding you even if you're somewhere else and if things are changing. He just develops you over those few years. So like I've just seen God move in like so many different ways in such a short amount of time. It's like really awesome.
That's cool to be in tune to that. Okay, put yourself in like, I don't know, Megan's shoes, okay? Where you're back in high school, knowing what you know, what you've been through, what you've experienced. What's like one piece of advice you'd give to a high school student where they're at right now?
An advice I'd give is that God can handle your choices. Something I've like realized is that I put a ton of pressure on myself to like choose the right college, to like get in the right major, to like do this thing and do that. And I thought if I made like one choice, like it could ruin God's plan for my life. I was like, if I go to the wrong school, then God's purpose isn't going to be fulfilled, and like my whole life is just going to be in shambles. But like what I've realized is what's most important isn't about like what you're going to do and like where I'm going to be, it's who I'm going to be. And so as long as you're in like constant pursuit of the Lord and his heart, and you're just like constantly like in alignment with God's heart and pursuing him, then like you have the freedom to make choices, and he'll be able to work and like be wherever you go. And like those choices, your desires become his desires. And so then like you have that freedom. He can like handle your choices. He's not confined. And it's not like if you make one decision here, like it's all over. Like he already knows what choices you make, and he's there and he's working. So like that was just some freedom that I feel when you think about that.
That's like a really good answer. Like I don't know if you followed all of that, but like that's like a really good and deep answer. So thanks for sharing that. Okay, thanks for leading us in worship. We appreciate it. Give it up for Rachel.